call it Divine Downloads. And there's going to be a playlist called Divine Downloads because that is what I'm experiencing right now. And I'm called to share because I know that many of you are experiencing the same. So here's a place to go to put your divine downloads in the comments and to experience mine so that my divine downloads can trigger your soul memory and your divine downloads can trigger my soul memory. So I want to start out by welcoming you to the channel if you're new. I've added like 1,000 new subscribers in about a month, which is super freaking exciting. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am Monica. I am a quantum healer. I am a high ticket affiliate marketer. I will place in the comments links to my offerings. So I have one-on-one quantum healing sessions that are at a very discounted rate. The value far exceeds the cost for sure. And I also have a collective quantum healing session that is a recording that is channeled, that is in the highest for the collective that Source knows will be called into the recording. If you want to tap into that, I'll put a link in the comments. Okay, so for now, I want to share with you what has been unfolding for me. If you recently watched the galactic download that I had with my Andromedan family, this is a continuation of that. And like I said, I'm just going to create a playlist called Divine Downloads, and we're just going to grow together and continue to see the unfolding. It's like this giant jigsaw puzzle. And we're just grabbing a piece and putting it in, grabbing a piece and putting it in. So I want to remind you that if you have an inclination, an intuition to go tell someone something about a download you've had or a feeling you've had or an interaction you've had with a person or an energy, do it. There's a reason that you feel called intuitively to share it with them. You could be activating something in them that triggers a soul memory, that leads them down a path that is part of their journey. So always be divinely led and share what you feel called to share. The other thing I want to remind you about, and this was a download that I had after all of this unfolded for me over the past couple of days, which I'll get to, but I want to preface it with, understand that all of the dreams that you're having, the intuitive downloads that you're having, the tapping into the Akashic records that you're experiencing, sometimes just knowing is enough. And if just knowing is not enough, the divine will make it very clear to you. If there's something you need to do, if there's a place you need to go, if there's some light you need to anchor, the divine will be specific if there is an action to take. I was told this earlier because I've been having some wild dreams. And I'm having an interaction with someone who's also having some wild dreams and telling me about them, and it's triggering soul memories for me. And so today I went a little bit down the rabbit hole and things were connecting. I was like, wow, this is really interesting. Like, what does all of this mean? And my intuition said to me, there's nothing you need to do unless Source is specific about an action. Your awareness is enough. Wow. Why? And this is quantum physics. You know me, this is my jam, quantum physics. Why? Because of the observer effect. So the observer effect is a concept within physics, quantum physics, that states that what they found with experimentation is that the observer would have a direct effect on the experiment every time. So based on your energy, based on your gifts, based on your unique codex, you observing something has a direct effect on the outcome. And so many times when we receive dreams or downloads, intuitions, the divine is simply, maybe simply is not the right word, but for lack of a better word, simply showing it to us, bringing awareness to it because of the unique codex that we carry that affects the awareness of that event. And so let me be specific. a couple nights ago, hold on, let me back up. If you did not watch the video about my near head-on collision that activated a soul memory, you might check that out after this, because what I'm about to tell you is directly correlates with that soul memory. So I'll give you a brief synopsis of that. It was almost in a head-on collision. It activated an Andromedan soul memory inside of me. This Andromedan memory, I see a blue figure in my mind, led me to another blue figure. And so after I had this soul memory activated, which again, you can watch the video about it, I kept, goddess Kali, or Kali, I think it's Kali is the proper pronunciation, came into my field. People kept dropping her name. And you know, have you ever had a goddess, an energy call on you, and the way that you're introduced, the way that they come into your field, you know, is like through other people. I just kept hearing her name. Her name kept being dropped. So I was like, okay, Kali, I got you. I'm gonna start working with you. So I started bringing her into some of my quantum healing sessions. Super powerful. She's in my field. She's in my field right now. I'm constantly hot when she's in my field. And she gets shit done. She is these, like this skull, these skulls, this head, all of this is symbolic and very powerful. And this is symbolic of cutting away anything that does not serve. So you call her into your field, she does not fuck around. She's gonna cut away anything in your life that does not serve you. Things that you may perceive as being helpful and beneficial to you, but you know in your soul are not, she will remove them. So if you're ready to work with her, like, you gotta be ready, because there's no turning back. I'm gonna read what her card says. The mother of the universe, I release all that doesn't serve me. It's time to be the truth of who I am. And so I've seen her in my mind's eye. I've been meditating with her. I'm calling her in very often, and I'm dreaming of her. So 2 nights ago, I woke up to a text message from someone, a friend of mine, who said, I wanted to share a dream with you, because he didn't know who else to share it with. He knew my wild galactic ass would be like, what? Cool. And what he dreamt of was, not cool. It wasn't cool. It was a wild download. It was very powerful. What he dreamt of was war. And I had just had a soul memory of galactic war related to the Andromedans, like the week prior to. So his dream was of war, and it was very brutal. He said it was very vivid. It was scary. He was like a well-respected, like kind of general type, like he was leading the way. And it was crazy. It was massive destruction. And what I thought of when he said it to me was, maybe you shut down a timeline. And he was like, what does that mean? I was like, well, I'm not real sure, but that's intuitively what came to me, because all possibilities exist in the quantum. So though we are on this earth, you and I are not experiencing that reality, that is a timeline that could exist, and that his awareness around that shut it down, which is interesting. Now, the other thing is, I'll get back to Kali. The other thing is, that same night, my dream was, I dreamt that I'm pretty sure I was in my Andromedan body. That's the energy I felt. I was hovering above Earth, and I brought in a grid. Like literally, think of graphing paper. I brought in a grid and I placed it around the Earth, and it was a love grid. I remember specifically thinking, this is a grid of love, the codes of love. I wrapped it around the Earth. That's all I remembered at that point. Later on in the day, have you ever had more memories of your dreams come to you halfway through the day? You're like, oh shoot, I forgot I dreamt that. Well, this is what happened for me. So I was thinking about what he had told me about his dream, and then I was like cleaning or something, and a memory from my dream came to me, and it was of the god Thoth. Do you know who Thoth is? Thoth is like the keeper of knowledge, the ancient wisdom. And he came to me in his bird-like form, and I looked at him, And he just grunted at me. He just went, that's it. I'm like, oh, he just made his presence, his energy known. And I was like, okay, all right, so okay. So then I'm like called to look up Thoth. And so I look him up and I see that he is the keeper of knowledge. Like I think of Akashic records, and I've been like dipping into the Akashic records over the past month in my dreams, being made aware of past lives I've had, downloads when I'm like driving down the street, really interesting. And I'm like, okay, so Thoth is in my field. And so as I'm looking him up, I learn about him that he survived the downfall of Atlantis. I absolutely have Atlantean connections, 100%. Like the Atlanteans come in very strong sometimes when I'm doing healing work. I feel them around one of my children in particular. And there's like this Anunnaki connection that I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I don't need to figure it out. I was told you don't need to figure it out. Your awareness alone shifts whatever needs to shift based on who you are and what your unique codex carries. So you don't have to figure this stuff out. It's not meant to all be figured out. It's just meant to come into your field for awareness. So release that if you're like trying to always figure stuff out, because that's what the human brain wants to do, right? And so I'm like, okay, so I'm learning about Thoth. I learn about the fall of Atlantis, that he survived, and that he then built the Great Pyramids, and that he was the one who helped to create the golden age of Egypt. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And it kind of keeps leading me down these other rabbit holes, So then I'm like, all right, so what's the connection between Kali and Thoth? And you know what? I have his card. I think it's downstairs. I just was called to buy a God's Oracle deck for my son for Christmas, and Thoth is in there. I'll show you at some point. And so I'm like, what's the connection? Like the Andromedans led me to Kali. Kali led me to Thoth. I knew there was a connection. And so I searched Kali and Thoth, and what popped up was a really cool video about what's called the Kali Rift. About shit. I was 35 minutes into the video when they actually referred to the Kali Rift. I'm like, wow. Okay, so I don't exactly understand the Kali Rift. I'm going to try and explain it to you as well as I can. So what Thoth revealed to a woman who taps into the Akashic records, I don't remember her name, is that the Kali Rift is actually a rift that occurred when like humans decided to do their own thing. They decided to like break away from the collective consciousness and do like the wrong thing, right? To like move into this disempowered masculine, this patriarchal society that wants to rule over the world, moving into wars and nuclear war. And so this is, and I don't know exactly when that happened, but this is when Earth broke away from the collective consciousness. Can you send links or places where I can learn more? Absolutely. I will post them in the comments when I'm done, Diana. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. So the Kali Rift is the term that they give for that breaking away. And so this rift represents the gap between where Earth is, or where Earth was, let's say in 2019, and moving back into the collective consciousness of like Sirius and Orion, and what was the other term they used? Or the other like system they used? Sirius, Orion, I don't remember, but I will post links. Okay, so this rift is the gap, from what I understand, is the gap that we are bridging, moving the Earth into the new Earth, the 5D. And so that gap is already actively being bridged. And like, that's what we're doing. And I don't know why it's called the Kali Rift. I still need to like go deeper and maybe figure that out. I'll be led to it if I'm supposed to be led to it. So we are bridging that gap. Now, my point about awareness is that sometimes there's nothing you have to do. It is just about a collective awareness. Like, there's a reason that Source is showing me these memories and showing my friend these memories and showing certain other people these memories and other people other memories. Because there's something within our unique DNA that our awareness shifts something. And so this is how we ascend as a collective, is that we're doing the work, right? If you're doing the work on yourself, you serve self, you serve other. You serve self, you serve the collective. And so, and even this right here, like this back and forth, this interaction is literally changing timelines, shifting timelines, raising the collective consciousness of the world, because we're coding each other. Even if you're not commenting, you are coding me. Even if you're not watching this live, really, time doesn't exist, right? We are coding each other. This interaction is raising the collective consciousness of the world. So, every time you feel divine inspiration, do it. Take imperfect action, act on it. Like, I was cleaning my house earlier and something said, you need to go live and you need to talk about this. And sometimes I don't really ignore that anymore, but I used to, when I had a lot of fear around, exposure and going live. And so I am just encouraging you that if you feel a call, and maybe this may not be your mission to speak live or to make videos, that may not be your call, but if you do feel the inclination, like, listen to your soul, be led, because that divine inspiration is making a huge difference in the shifting of the collective consciousness. Huge. I did take some notes so I don't forget. Okay, I talked about the observer effect, and I want to mention that again. This is what I'm talking about. There is a term in quantum physics that is called the observer effect. What the observer effect states, if you didn't see this or catch this earlier when I talked about it, is that anything that's going on in the world, anything, any situation, it is always directly affected by the observer. So, like, when you go to a restaurant and your presence there as a light worker changes the entire situation because you are there observing it. And so sometimes all we need is awareness. So know that there is no struggle around what do I do. There is no struggle around what does Source want me to do about this download that Source is giving me. If there's something to do, you will know. It will be clear to you if you're tapping into your soul. Otherwise, it's just bringing awareness. It's just you having awareness that's shifting something. Okay, if you have any questions, pop them below. I will absolutely answer your questions. If you have not subscribed, subscribe. I'm so excited to have so many new subscribers. And if you'll like this video, I would so appreciate it, because it gets the word out. It puts me in the algorithm in a different space so that more people can actually see what we're talking about and what we're doing here. And I am a quantum healer. That is my offering. I will post links I will post my website link below so that if you would like to tap into a quantum healing session, I'm not your healer, I am your facilitator. You are your healer. I just simply guide you and activate some codes within your unique codex, within your unique field, and I just shine a light. I just shine a light, because that's my job. That's one of my soul missions, is to come and shine a light to help you self-heal. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful evening. And then I'll tell you, this is my next goddess. So I've been led to Thecla, the prophetess of true power. I call my power back from all times and all places. I am my own. So Kali has now led me to Thecla. She just keeps popping up for me. So this will be interesting. So maybe my next video will be about her. I don't know, but I will let you know what the next puzzle piece is. And we're on this journey together. Please share with me. I love you so much. Have an absolutely magical, magical evening. I'll place links down below.